What's up, YouTube? GGTCG here. Gonna do another deck profile for you guys. Won't take too long on this, but it's also something different. As you can see by the thumbnail, figured I'd showcase a little Year Chronicle love with Temporal Fish Dragon, Crowind Dragon. Nothing super major, just a deck that I thought was pretty cool. Didn't see many profiles out for it, so I thought I'd give you guys one. So real quick, starting off with Fledgling Luminary, Gear Chick, basic starter for D series. Then we're going to go into the Grade 1 Steam Fighter Gamil. This card's ability is when rode upon by Steam Fighter Golkasar, you can Soul Blast 1, draw 2 cards, choose up to 1 normal unit from the hand, reveal it, put it to the bottom of the deck. If you couldn't reveal a card, you discard 2. So make sure you reveal a card so you're not losing out. Next up, Steam Fighter Golkasar. He's the card that rides on top of here, and his ability is when he's rode upon a Gear Dragon, it's grade 3. You can look at the top 5 cards of the deck, choose up to 1 normal unit from among them, call it to rearguard circle if it's a grade 3 or less, and put it into the hand if it's not, and shuffle the deck. And if you didn't reveal a card, you can call himself to rearguard circle and soul charge 1. He also has a rearguard ability continuous during your turn. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, and any player's rearguard was bound this turn, this unit gets 5k power. Decent rearguard. Usually you don't want to call him out, but if for some reason your top 5 only shows orders or triggers or something, and you don't really have much of a choice, he's pretty cool because you get to call him out to rearguard circle. Another thing I noticed about him and this whole riot line in general is that it's not specific to Crowind, only specific to Gear Dragon. So for those of you who like Time Stamping Dragon, which was the other gear card that came out, he was a promo card. He was also pretty cool, but never had his own real ride line. So this is a dope ride line to run in that deck. It works super well with it, so feel free to try that out as well. Next up, Temporal Fish Dragon, Crowind Dragon, the main unit of the deck, is grade 3, Gear Dragon. Act Vanguard Circle once a turn. You can bind a card from your soul. Choose one of the opponent's rear guards, put it to the bottom of the deck, and if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets 5k to end the turn. Nice little free removal. Binding a card from Soul adds up to the main theme of the deck, which is the number of grades in the bind zone. So being able to just bind a card from Soul in order to achieve that is pretty cool. It's a free cost, free spin. Really good against Ozzy the Haka, as you'll see in another video that I'll post soon. Being able to spin his Ozzy back to the ride deck, actually, because it was a ride deck card, he wasn't able to call it out again. So that was pretty cool. When this unit attacks Vanguard, if he's on the Vanguard circle, you can counterbalance 1 and bind 2 rearguard units. Search your deck for up to 2 unit cards with the total grade equal to the total grades of cards in the bind zone for this cost, and call each of them to rearguard circle in the same column. So he swings, you bind 2 rearguards, you count the number of grades in your bind zone, and for the total grades in the bind zone, you could choose up to 2 cards equaling or less than that grade, call them to rearguard circle. This is how you get your, which I'll show later on, your grade 4 unit out on the board. Pretty simple stuff, just adds another attack, fills your bind zone, and mid-battle calls. Then of course you want to run your energy generator. Then we got 3 persona rides. Also real quick, shout out to 50 cards for this playmat. It's super dope. It's a little smaller than I thought it was going to be, but I still love it. If you love Buddy Fight, go get one of these playmats. They're really good quality. Anyways, 3 persona rides. Then for the other grade 3s, we're going to be running 3 copies of Steam Gunner Bali Lama. Bali Lama's effect is pretty good. He's a good discard target from your hand during the ride phase, and for later on, because he has an ability that's auto drop zone. When your card is bound during your main phase, you can energy blast 3 to call him to the rearguard circle. So you have his ability that binds a card during the main phase. You have the grade 4's ability that binds a card during main phase. Being able to call something out for free from the drop zone is pretty cool. The only issue I'm having so far is, it's not really an issue, but you need to maintain your energy cost, because everything that's big in this deck costs 3 energy. It's pretty annoying, but You got to do what you got to do. Just resource manage and you'll be fine. His other ability is continuous rear guard and guard circle. If you have a Gear Dragon Vanguard, he gets 5k power, 5k shield. Again, it's another generic card that can be used in Time Stamping Dragon. For those of you who like that deck, you could always go back and add some actual support to it. Next to grade 3, I run Forvidal Surrogate. Again, we're running grade 4 units, so being able to search out the grade 4 added to hand, being able to search out the grade 3 to call the rear guard, super amazing. This card comes in clutch a lot. I was going to run either Caliburn or Twin Cast, but I noticed that this deck draws a lot. It has a lot of draw power. You don't need Twin Cast for the extra shield, even though it is nice sometimes. I say go for the ability to search your cards. Anything that can deck in on the spot is pretty solid. Next up, the main attacker of the deck, Eternal Overload Colossus. He's a grade 4 that cannot be ridden. And because he's grade 4, you also cannot normal call him to rearguard circle. He has an ability, Act from Hand. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Crowind in its card name, you may Energy Blast 3. Once again, going back to that Energy Blast 3. Bind this card and draw 2 cards. So he's a free pitch himself, draw 2. Fills up the bind zone, gives you card advantage, gets you set up for the following turns. Super solid card. When this unit is placed on rearguard circle by the ability of your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Crowind in its card name, until end of turn, this unit gets all the following. So once again, when he attacks, he can call 2 from deck, so you want to usually call him out. When he's placed, he gets... I had some technical difficulty, sorry about that. When this unit is placed on rear guard by the ability of your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Crowind in its card name, till end of the turn, this unit gets all of the following according to the total grade of Dark States cards in your bind zone. So if you have 10 or more, once a turn when this unit attacks, he gets 20,000 power until end of turn. So yes, he is a 38k attacker. He's also an 18k beater normally. So 38k attacker. And then at the end of the turn, you bind this unit and draw a card. So more free draw power. If you have 20 or more, once per turn at the end of the battle that he attacked, you can counterblast 1, stand this unit. So he basically has double attack as well. And then if you have 30 or more grades in the bind zone, he gets continuous, this unit gets critical +1. So he can be a 38k attacker that can swing twice with 2 critical, and that's not including any triggers or persona ride. So extremely heavy beater, good for draw power. Yeah, this card's pretty bonkers. Now on to the grade 2s. Don't judge me, but I am running Rapture Fist Maskin. Run 4 copies of this guy. He is the new generic Dark States card that every nation is getting. He has continuous rear guard during the turn. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, and any player's card was put into the deck or soul by your card's ability this turn, he's a 15k attacker. And then his other ability is auto. When a unit is put on guard circle, if your damage zone has 5 or more cards, or an attack hit your Vanguard this turn, you can soul blast 1, he gets 10k shield. So 15k attacker, 15k shield. There's a bunch of generic cards you could run. His card was an option I thought of, but Counter Blast and Energy Blast are both very detrimental to this deck, so I cannot afford to be adding any more of that. You could run, what's the other card? Time Leaping Gear Goat, another card that costs CB, Energy Blast. Even though it's a very good card, the cost is what makes it hard to run. If you did run it, I would run it at like 2. But for right now, I like this card. Gives you more shield value, gives you more, regular cards to attack with, and honestly, this is the only card in the deck that uses soul. So the soul blasting isn't really an issue. Next up, I run 4 copies of Searing Sun Presence, Forwards and Revertus. The main generic card I run in this deck. I like him because he soul charges. You could soul charge a 4, you could soul charge a 3 in order to use his effect to bind them and get your grades in bind zone. He also could potentially clear a unit on the board or call a card from your soul if you soul charge something good. He's also a 15k attacker the turn he's placed. And other than that, it's really just for the 15k attack and the soul charge. Nothing special about him, just I think it's a decent card to run in this deck. Haven't had any issues with it. Now for the grade 1s, 4 PGs, you can run Elementary if you want to. I don't have an extra one, so I'm just running 4 basic PGs. 4 copies of Steam Shooter Amethyst. Very good card. Again, another one of those cards that you could run with Time Stamping Dragon. She is continuous rearguard circle during your turn. If any player's card rearguard was put to the bottom of the deck or bound this turn, she gets a grade +1 plus 2k power, so she's a 10k beat stick. The grade +1 is really only relevant to Time Stamping Dragon because he does technically time leap. Her other effect is auto rearguard circle. At the end of the battle, she boosts. If you have a Gear Dragon Vanguard, which you will, you can bind her to draw a card. So more draw power. Basically a better version of Philia for this deck. The next grade 1, 4 copies of Gear Parrot of Eternal Glory. This card's cracked in this deck. I like playing this card in Time Stamping and in normal Gear Chronicle, but I think it shines brightly in this deck. As a continuous, if you have a Gear Dragon Vanguard, this unit gets all the following effects. Auto, when he's placed on rear guard, choose up to 1 normal unit without Sentinel from the drop or bind zone, put it to the bottom of the deck. So fuels the engine of the deck, helps you recycle your cards. He'll gain 5k power, and then his other effect, when this unit is put from rear guard to the bottom of the deck by your card's ability during your turn, or bound from rear guard circle by your card's ability during your turn. If your Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, you can CB1 or Energy Blast 3, draw a card, and choose any one of your units, and it gets 5k power. So he's good when you swing with him in the column, use your Vanguard to bind him and whatever else is in the column. Oops. Call out the grade 4, trigger his effect to Counterblast or EB3, draw a card, and then give the 5k to the Colossus, starting him off at a 23k base. And that would be before his own power and before any Persona rides. So, again, really strong combos. The recycle that this card does for this deck is amazing. And the additional draw power is also very, very nice. Next up, I run 3 copies of Rising Occasion Gear Frog. Wasn't too sure about this at first. I saw one other deck profile that wasn't running this card, and that person said that he was having problems with his soul. This fixes that issue. When this unit is placed from hand to rearguard circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Crowind in its card name, choose up to 1 normal unit without Sentinel from the drop or bind zone, put it to the bottom of the deck. If you put a grade 3 or greater card, any one of these, soul charge 1, he gets 5k power. Again, just another recycle card because you do need the additional recycle. Otherwise, once you run out of these, he's not going to be calling him out anymore. You're not going to have any really big attacks, so you want to be able to recycle your cards over and over. That's mainly what it's there for, is the recycle and the soul charge. Some other things you could possibly run instead of this, you could run like Falcrasia. She's another card that could put cards to soul. Philia is an okay option, but I wouldn't recommend it because there's not a lot of removal for this deck. Only the 1 Vanguard skill, and if you run him still, then 1 copy of 1 removal from that, but that's about it. So for the triggers, I run 4 heals. Doesn't really matter too much. You can run the effect heals if you want. It's really just preference. I'm just running the 15Ks because I'm still testing the deck. Once I feel like I'm a little more comfortable and I think, okay, the shield value is fine, I might swap out 2 of these for the restanding ones just because a lot of decks restand nowadays. 4 insole crits. Insole part doesn't really matter. These could be any crits. I'm running 8 crits total. They could all be vanilla if you wanted to. Doesn't really matter. Just you need criticals in the deck. 3 front triggers. We're not running draws because, like I said, this deck has plenty of draw power, so you're not going to run draw triggers. 20k fronts for the shield value, and when the van attacks, you still have your 2 front rows standing, so giving 10k to the front row is usually really good. And then for OT, we're running Volnaught. Blue OT is cool, but I don't think it's really necessary. You don't really need to pick up pieces. You want to be recycling pieces. So, and the extra crit, I mean, we run 8, we don't really need another one. The additional attack, though, makes it to where Overload Colossus can possibly swing 3 times in one turn with 100 million power. And if you have 30 or more grades in bind, he has an extra critical without even drive checking a crit. So, I mean, 3 attacks, 100 million, extra crit. You can't really get much better than that. Yeah, other than that, there'll be another video coming up soon with a playtest of this deck, going up against Ozzy in Buddy Fight, which is probably one of the strongest decks in Buddy Fight. I think the game went pretty well, to be honest, and that was actually my first rough draft version of this deck. So these weren't in there yet, and the ratios were slightly different, but the overall concept was exactly the same. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you like this deck. I'll be putting up some more deck videos soon. So peace out, Girl Scouts.